You want to become smart, right? Becoming smart is actually simple. Here's why. This works even if you think you have a low IQ. Most of the world tells you that it takes 12 years of school, 4 years of college, and 6 years of graduate school to become smart. Wait, 22 years? And what you actually become is homeless. This is not a joke. So how can you become smart? The human brain is way more capable than any other animal. In fact, your brain is actually pretty overpowered. When people like you and me say we want to get smarter, it means a lot of things. Number one, we won't want to learn useful skills, ideally skills that will make you money. Number two, we want to be good at solving problems to make more money. And number three, we want to get better grads and learn difficult subjects to always make more money and even to flex on people. Why not? We want to look cooler. That's okay. And last but not least, we want to sound smart in conversations so people respect you, but not too much to the point where people think you are one of those weirdos that studies all the time and has no social life. The problem is most advice on the internet is so vague and philosophical that even if it works, it would be difficult to practice in real life. And if you instead look for some advice that you can actually try, this is what you get. Eat healthy, drink black coffee, sleep more, and take IQ tests. Wait, really? It doesn't sound that bad, but at some point you have to know how to actually learn stuff. So what can you actually do to get smarter? The main thing you need to do is to read and then apply immediately the piece of information you learn. But what can you read? That depends. Fiction is good for learning to read faster, and it gives you a better vocabulary. Also, if you read a lot of dialogue, it makes you feel like you have friends. But that's up to you. You have to choose something and follow this method. The key is to teach people what you know without making them sound dumb. Because people don't like that. If you teach them with confidence, they will trust you and actually learn from you. And this will make them see you as smart. But how do you find these books? It's actually simple. You don't have to read the same books everyone tells you to read. Think of a topic you want to learn about, like playing tennis. Now Google books about tennis, like this one for example. Usually these books cost money, but nowadays you can download lots of free ebooks from the internet without having to go to buy a physical one. Now with this book, you can learn many useful skills. There are two main things you should know before you learn a skill. Number one, unless you practice the skill, your brain will think it's useless and forget it. Number two, you only have to know 20% of the knowledge to master 80% of the skill. Sounds good, right? Now let's talk about the learning curve. It's a graph of how good you get at something over time. As you can see, just by practicing, you can make a lot of progress in the beginning, but you have to keep practicing. No one ever learned how to drive a car by only watching someone driving. You have to jump in the car and drive the car. That's how you learn. The same applies to reading books. They only make you smarter if you give your brain a reason to remember the stuff in the book. So once you read a chapter on playing tennis, go ahead and play tennis. Learn something and go straight to practice. This is the right method. This principle applies even to things that you can't practice in the moment, like jump-starting a dead car with a good one, for example. In this scenario, you have to imagine yourself doing it, even if you are not physically doing it. For our brains, it makes no difference if you really do something or if you just imagine it. By imagining the whole process from start to finish, you just convinced your brain that you used all that information and now you'll remember it. Meanwhile, the person who just reads the information and tries to memorize it still won't know what to do. This is how you get smart. Use everything you learn and imagine yourself in the moment where it'll be useful. Actually, this is how the school system works nowadays. If you think about it, you learn a piece of information, and because it'll be a long time before you actually use it, your teacher creates an imaginary situation where that information is useful. That is an exam that has questions on that exact piece of information, and you have to answer them. Sounds familiar, right? This is the only method that can help your brain to remember all the informations you learned. People think repetition or studying in intervals will help them get better grades and learn faster, but in reality it doesn't. Doing practice questions will give you the most results because they simulate the actual situation in which you'll need to use the piece of information you learned. My friend, this is all you need to know in order to get smart, and this is why books help a lot for becoming smart as soon as possible. See you in the next one.